Hello, Heller. It is the end of 2020.
Almost there, Joy.
We're so close.
Almost there.
We're
so close.
So we're creeping to the finish line of this f***ing bullshit year. But during this year, there were some very special moments that we all experienced together. So we usually do like a big New Year's show where we give out our New Year's awards. Obviously, we're not all together, and I'm not as good as Ariana at getting decorations. She's the wizard of that. So I have my same setup. I do have a new nice pennant from the Dolphins. They sent it to me.
Signed?
Yes, it's signed by our great coach, Brian Flores.
I see he signs his name in regular print,
He
looks like almost.
He does, which is the gangster move. He has no time for cursive.
Interesting.
Who can read that anyway?
I wish I could unlearn it.
There's joy in hard work, Brian Flores. He's right. There is. It's pretty dope.
Wow.
Yeah, I actually have I think it's Three Rivers. I have another pennant in my closet that I actually should hang up over on this side. So it's Pittsburgh, so it would be a nice balance.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get to the 2020 awards.
Okay, great. So I was actually struggling with this notion a little bit. Like I even said on the call yesterday, like I need to get a bow tie. These aren't award show awards. This is like your team has the season end awards where you give out this is more of a community thing, as Joy was talking about, than it is some fancy award show. So just wrap your head around that and let's get to it. We got 5 beautiful, illustrious categories. The first one we're going to start with, the best league relaunch. What do you got, Joy?
I have to give this one to the NBA bubble. They did just an absolutely tremendous job. Many people don't know this about me, but I'm a logistics nerd. I'm very impressed with great logistical achievements, well-organized events, things that are run smoothly. I love that. I don't know if that's the Capricorn in me, but I just really like things to be run well. And the NBA bubble was essentially flawless, no positive tests.
Really good.
They did a tremendous job quarantining anyone and everyone that came into the bubble. You couldn't leave your room. If you left your room, quarantine starts over again.
No wings for you.
No wings for you. They did just a really, really great job organizing and getting the season in. Even with everything that was going on in the world, George Floyd, the protests, the NBA players not wanting to play, injuries, the stress of being away from your family. Like, it was really a tremendous, tremendous undertaking. And not even just the players. I always like to point out, because I'm a logistics nerd, that there are coaches who didn't have their families in there. You have medical personnel who are testing every single day, reporters, they didn't bring their families in. You have just people that work at the facilities, people who are preparing the meals. These are not cafeteria meals like you're feeding NBA players. These are high level meals being made every single day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. Like, there's so much that went into that bubble being a success, and it was just a tremendous, tremendous undertaking. All the leagues did a great job. Thought baseball did a great job. MLS did an amazing job. Hockey did a great job. But I just thought the NBA bubble was an experiment and an experience that I will go down in history. To me, is just like one of the great successes in sports history, and certainly one of the positive notes of 2020, because it wasn't even looking like it was going to happen, and they pulled it off.
They saved sports for us. They did. I mean, and what was super impressive to me, speaking of the logistics, was that they made it an enjoyable watch.
Yes.
The way that they designed, I guess, the ballroom or whatever they were dealing with there at the Disney space down there in Florida, they really made the most of it. We laughed initially at the fans in there digitally, but I got pretty comfortable with that. I thought that was pretty good, and honestly, it looks better than a lot of the full arenas that are empty that we're dealing with right now. So I think the bubble was so good, we got a new playoff format out of it. We got a bunch of great moments out of it, potentially a new camera angle that they were working on the side.
They're still using
a bunch of really cool stuff.
Yeah, they're still using it. That's a good point. Yeah, I wasn't sure about the screens either. I hated them when I first saw them, and now I think that they should keep that moving forward for some, like when they get fans back in. Like there's some fans that can never go to games, so putting some screens in the corner of some arenas, like making that experience available to some fans who can't actually go, or even people who are in hospitals or whatever. I think that's an element that they should keep. I think they did an amazing job with it aesthetically as well. It's a good point.
For sure. And I also loved the benches, how they were, and they seem to have kept that, at least with no fans, where the guys have a little bit of room. They can move around. You can showcase your outfit a little more. I always thought it was crazy to make the tallest men in the world cram next to each other.
I think it's so weird. Just because they're squeezing every inch out of those arenas to sell those floor seats.
Right. But they'll be happy to get people back when they're back, and hopefully that's good enough, and then we can keep some of the fun stuff. All right. We had a league relaunch, and then after that, we had a bunch of great sports moments. So, Joy, what was the best sports moment of the year?
So there were a lot of good sports moments. Obviously, the Lakers winning the championship. They won over my Heat, so I am a bit biased. The Dodgers winning the championship, that was amazing.
I don't remember that specifically happening exactly, but I'll take your word for it.
It did happen. Tampa Bay Lightning winning the Stanley Cup. That was pretty cool. I have to give it to a pre-COVID, pre-pandemic moment, though, and that was the Super Bowl. Super Bowl in Miami. Pre-COVID, when life was still normal, we were partying in very crowded clubs, climbing all over each other. Strangers were sharing cigarettes. It was a whole different world. I don't do that, but it's a thing people do apparently.
Never again.
No. There's no sharing. There's nothing is being shared.
Nope.
Andy Reid winning his first Super Bowl, bringing Kansas City a Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years. Was a incredible moment. I know it was over your 49ers, but Andy Reid made that more palatable for everybody who did not make it to the Super Bowl and whose team lost, because he is beloved. It was cool to see him get that. Now they might go on a Patriots-like reign of terror on the NFL, and I might change my mind about this. Right. Yeah. For the time being, it was a great moment. It was a fun Super Bowl, which is really what I always root for. If my team's not in it, I just want it to be a great game, because we're all going to watch. And literally that Rams-Patriots Super Bowl was such a snore fest that this was just a great moment for everybody. And it was really like the last time we were all together partying. Like literally a couple weeks later, everything was shut down. So it was great that we were able to get the Super Bowl in, and it actually had major effects on the rest of the year, especially for the NFL season, that the Super Bowl and the Combine got in before the pandemic started. So I got to give it to Andy Reid in the Super Bowl.
Yep. There was also a Wilder Fury fight that snuck in there at the end of February.
I was at the Wilder Fury fight at the end of February, which thinking about, and I specifically remember at that fight, I was like, there are so many people. Like, it was so crowded, Heller. People were in my nose. They were like, there was people everywhere.
And that was just when people around was a somewhat irrational anxiety to have. Now, completely justified.
Oh no, I would faint. I would faint. Being in that environment now, I would faint, and I was irritated then, without any concept of what a pandemic would do to my anxiety being around other people.
And I want to faint just thinking about taking a flight back from that after at the end of February, beginning of March. Jeez Louise. All right. Okay. So lots of changes in 2020. Some, forced, some organic, some, farmed illegally. I don't even know what words I'm saying. All right. There was a lot of great moments. We just talked about those, but there was also some changes that needed to be made. Joy, what was the best sports change?
There were a lot of sports changes, but I think the most impactful, and I think everyone would agree with this, is all of the leagues acknowledging Black Lives Matter. George Floyd and the protests were a massive movement that happened this year that really changed history in this country. It really woke a lot of people up to a conversation that has been the Black community has been talking about forever.
Yep.
And has largely gone unacknowledged by the majority of the white community in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And social justice was a conversation every household had to have. And that wasn't the case prior to this year and everything that happens. And it was kind of a joining together of everything. Everyone was home. Everyone was on their phone. There was no way to miss this news. And
no way to hide from it.
The horrific nature of how he was murdered, you just couldn't deny it. And this happening in the middle of the NBA relaunch, players feeling like they shouldn't go play to take, they might be taking attention away from the protests. What the NBA did to keep the conversation right in the forefront of everything that was happening with the league. They did a tremendous job with it. And even still, like, players didn't feel like it was enough. Obviously, didn't want to continue playing. And I think having those, very, very transparent conversations and keeping it going, like the NFL has it on their helmets, like they're doing and I think a great job of continuing that conversation. I know some people feel like it's not enough because Kaepernick isn't back, but I think all of the leagues, baseball, even hockey, had to have those conversations. Everybody acknowledged it. MLS, international soccer, like everyone has had this conversation on their field or court. And I think that's tremendous. So that was a major change that happened this year. And I really feel like it happened because in big part due to the pandemic and everyone being home and focusing on the news so much you couldn't miss it. And and that's an impactful change that will not go away. Yeah,
and it was, you mentioned it, but it was an international change that occurred as well. It was crazy to me. I understand, not fully, but growing up in America and being curious and having been a cool white person for more than just the past few months, like I have some concept of what being Black in America is like, but I don't really know what being Black in England is like. That's two things that I can't understand, right? I'm not English and I'm not Black, so how am I going to understand that? But just to see it spread, to see it, they're still kneeling before games in England, in support of Black Lives Matter. And, to also, I think the other thing, there was so many causes and things needed support during this pandemic, but for everyone to still make it a priority to really make Black Lives Matter ubiquitous, I think that says a lot. And it ignited something that I've been talking about for a while now, and I think is very important. And it was very inspiring to see that athletes have realized the power of their voice and the power of their platform. And college athletes, high school athletes, professional athletes, international athletes were all using their voice and the power of their voice. The WNBA was huge for that, in their bubble relaunch, which, also was incredible. So, everybody using their voices and realizing like, you know what, together we actually have a lot of power and we can say things and stick up for our community and use our voices for, more controversial causes than, our leagues may have traditionally said that we could. And I thought that was really, that was incredible. Because obviously, like, back when Trump was calling NFL players sons of bitches, a lot of people, myself included, were like, how are we not all together? Like, nah, you are. And this is what we're going to do. And it just, so this was really one of those moments where it's like, you know what? We do have a collective voice and we can use it. So I thought that was really powerful. Yeah, specifically that WNBA moment where they all came out with the shirts with the bullet holes for Jacob Blake getting shot in the back. I mean, that was one of the most powerful things I've seen. And also shouts to Trevor Lawrence. When Trevor Lawrence is, when the top Southern college quarterback is on your side, you're probably on the right side with it. And I think that's an important message too, which is that, you might have had some tough conversations with your family during that period, and you might not have felt like you made a difference because they didn't flip their opinion right then. But, you planted a seed, and hopefully that seed will allow people to, figure out what's right for themselves and the rest of the world and be more open-minded, and everything will be all good in the future, Joy. Come on. We'll hope. Yep. All right. So what are sports without athletes, Joy? Nothing. Who is the best athlete for our human world team in 2020?
I gotta give us to LeBron James. LeBron was at the forefront of every conversation being had this year. He did a tremendous job getting the NBA to come back and play. Obviously, a tremendous job with everything that happened with the protests and, the NBA players not wanting to continue to play, getting everyone back out there with the best intentions, keeping the conversation going. Everything he's done with the Breonna Taylor situation. Obviously, they won a championship this year. I mean, he pulled that organization together after the Kobe tragedy.
I'm not gonna be there.
Oh, I'm not even talking about Magic. He pulled that organization together after the Kobe tragedy, in a way that I couldn't even imagine. So he did a tremendous job with that, and then after coming out of the bubble to organize everything he did with voting rights, I just think he's done an incredible job. I thought he had an MVP season this year. He's really turned a corner in his career where he is just full on in legacy mode. And I respect it. He's always been somebody that has just been next level with everything that he does. And, I can feel how I feel about him going back to Cleveland. But everything else,
it's over now. It's over now.
He's
I don't feel good about it either.
It's over. I can get past it. It's just really unbelievably impressive. He was the top of the top of the top, as he always is, but he took it to another level this year.
Yeah, I don't think about him going back to Cleveland. I don't think about basketball. I think about the humanitarian effort that was for him to go mend those fences and just do it for the land, as they say. You know what I also just remembered, and I think this is sort of in the mold of how LeBron has laid out for athletes to try to make an impact. It was I think it was the NFL teams in Georgia, so the Falcons in I guess it was the Bucks in Milwaukee, so it was a basketball team. But a lot of the arenas became
voting
places for people to vote. And that made a huge difference in these states, not California, but these other states that, tried to limit people's right to vote for one reason or another, because they thought it would make them win. But so I think, and this is all the path laid out there by LeBron James. And what I really respect, and it's kind of weird, but he does this all without seeming I know he's better than me and a lot of us because of the things he's done, but he doesn't ever he went to the bubble, Joy. How many super duper stars, obviously other dudes in the league are stars too, but they needed him to sign off on something as overwhelming as leaving your family to go to the bubble and doing it the way they did it. And they did it the safest way and the best way. And it was because he signed off on it and he never complained. So kudos to you, our best athlete of 2020. All right, we got one more left. End of season / year awards. We spent a lot of time at home. We're both at our individual homes right now. We both go into work, but for a brief period, only to then return to our homes because there's no gyms, there's no concerts, there's not restaurants right now. There's no viable options of things to do. So we spent a lot of time at home in front of the screen. Therefore, we have to give a best at-home experience, Joy. There was a bunch of good options. What do you got?
Yeah, there were some good options. I thought the NFL did an incredible job with the draft. It was heartwarming. It was a really good, entertaining watch. It was cool to see everybody's houses.
Roger Goodell has a personality now.
He was great. The M&Ms, the sweater. I think it's cool for fans, the fan experience of going to the draft. I guess I don't like massive crowds of people. That this was pre-COVID, so it's not an experience I'm ever interested in having.
I went to one for work, and the people in there seemed really, really, really excited to be there, and I didn't really understand why.
Well, I mean, you're seeing history. You're seeing lives change. You're seeing your team pick what might be, a future Super Bowl winner or whatever. Like, you're a hardcore fan, I get it. I'm just saying I liked the change of seeing everyone at home.
Yes.
A more like quiet, cool experience. And it was something live that we could all experience together, which at that point we were so excited.
We were watching Horse at that point, I think.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Oh my God, don't bring it up.
Oh
my God, I've been trying to forget that happened. Oh my God, that was so bad. Like,
I liked it. I was desperate. I liked it at the time. I liked it.
I tried it and I was like, I refuse to accept this reality. We have got to get it together.
Wi-Fi is important.
We have got to get it together. The match I thought was really cool. Having like the behind the scenes things in the golf cart. Like, I think they should keep that. That was super cool. But it got us through like 6 weeks. So much conversation, so much amazing content. It was really it was that bridge from like NFL offseason to the NBA returning in the most perfect way. And that was The Last Dance. The Last Dance
Thank you, MJ.
Crucial. Thank you, Netflix. Thank you, MJ. It was so necessary. Everything that we needed in that moment. There was so much drama, so many memes. It was just, not only was it just a testament to how much that team and MJ as a superstar affects our lives still today, it really was just brilliant storytelling. It was amazing. And it gave us 6 weeks of content, which I am so grateful for. And for it to be that compelling, and this is a story we already know how it ends. We know it's in the name. Like, we know exactly how the story ends. We have seen these highlights a million times, and we were still all enthralled with it. Thank you. It was the best at-home experience, and it would never have been as impactful if it did not happen during the pandemic while we were all at home.
Yep, glued to the screen. Then they rolled it out early, right?
They did roll it out early. They put it in hyperdrive to get it finished and rolled out, which was the right thing to do, and it worked 100%. Out very well. But I mean, people who were not even into sports or ever had any idea what was going on in this story were watching it just because everyone was talking about it. It was amazing.
Yeah, a lot of bad stuff has happened this year, but I'm glad that through all of it, we have the Michael Jordan and I took that personally meme to enjoy, because that just...
And the Dennis Rodman rebounding meme. That one, the Isaiah Thomas and the Dennis Rodman rebounding meme have been really effective for the internet.
Yep, and I'm still waiting for that Isaiah counter doc. Oh, yeah, and I took that personally.
All right, that's our 2020 awards. Goodbye, 2020. Do you have any parting words for 2020? Because I just said, F you.
No, I'm just going to turn my back on that motherfucker.
I saw a pretty cheeky meme.
Cheeky, huh?
Mm-hmm. It was like, does everyone realize that 2021 is like 2021? WON. Get it?
Ooh. I mean, we've been hating on the year that just passed for so many years now, and this time it's true. But I'm just tired. We all wanted 2016 to be over too. And so now
true.
I'm just excited for 2021.
I am. I'm excited for 2021 because I don't want to wish away any more time. So we're done with it. We're just gonna close this book. We're going to put it in a box,
lost.
And we're going to throw that bitch in the ocean.
Yeah. That's a Bad Boys 2? Was that a Bad Boys 2 reference? Put it in there with your mom's titties and my erection problems, and we going to throw that bitch in the ocean. So far, Jacques Cousteau can't find that thing.